Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having an amazing day today. Today I'm taking a look at the fantasy-influenced take on A Midsummer Night's Dream. This is a Shakespearean play written earlier in his career for us folks. I had the last play that I read was The Tempest by him in college for a humanities class and so forth. So I wanted to read another play after going back and rereading The Tempest and doing a review of it from a fantasy fan. So what I'm going to be doing is giving you my fantasy take, sort of how A Midsummer Night's Dream influences this. No, reading as a reminder, I'm not a trained critic. I'm not an English major. I'm not a Shakespearean actor. Right? So I'm just a guy who likes fantasy stuff, and I thought a fantasy take on this and sort of what the influences are with this play would be pretty good. I get the script here on my phone. It's in 20-point font. That's 4 pages long from my notes. So that's pretty long for folks. Just a heads up. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So until this week, I'd never heard of it since it was fantasy. This is a comedy. It's divided into 5 acts, just like the previous one, 9 scenes. So I knocked it out in 3 days with two and a half hours total. That was spent over 3 days. So good stuff. So you could easily knock it out one day or half an hour each with an act and over lunch or something like that in just a week. It's a pretty fast week. It's like 170 pages. I'll link you to it in the comments below in case you're interested in checking it out for you folks. Now there are sort of 3 groups and having 3 interactions and 3 major plots that are happening here. The first one is basically, and this is all set in Athens for you folks. And the first is sort of a group of younger characters, which we'll be calling the love quadrangle for folks. And this is, that are having an issues. And then there are 6 amateur actors, one of which is directing a play that have a play within a play, kind of like The Tempest's Wedding Mask. And it's also being played at a wedding too, so it has some of that too. Also, as a reminder, as I mentioned, this is a spoiler review too, just as so just want to make sure we're on the same page with you folks. And then there's the wedding that's coming up between Theseus and who is the Duke of Athens and his wife Hippolyta. Don't forget them. And then there's the ferry. The nearby ferries of Oberon the king, Titania the queen, and Puck or Robin Goodfellow. So that's kind of cool too. So those are all our main characters and they're sort of interacting since that. All right, so now let's start with a quicker synopsis. Folks, we're going to start with Act 1, Scene 1, and we're going to start with the 4 main characters in the love quadrangle for you folks, and then we are those. So they are trying to force a girl named Helena to marry a guy named Demetrius who wants to marry her and loves her and is a suitor, but she doesn't love him back. And then she loves a guy named Lysander who's also a suitor too. And then the 4th one is their friend, who also is a friend of them both. And they tell her, and her name is Hippolytus in the wedding. Her name is Hermia, the one who loves Demetrius, but Demetrius doesn't love her back and such. And then they're going to head out into the woods together after they tell her that they're heading out there. Alexander and Helena, they tell her that they're heading out there into the woods, and then she wants to ingratiate herself with Demetrius, the one that she loves, who's the suitor, and so forth. And so they'll flee out into the woods. And so those are our 4 quadrangle people. Then we have the play within the play, 4th scene, and it takes over next. And I just never really got into this. I felt like it was way too much time I was spent with the play within a play for folks. Then we'll move to Titania and Oberon, who are normally in a relationship but are estranged because she has kept their changeling baby away from him, and he wants to grab them and such. So that is our next part of this play for you folks. And this is applying. So what he wants to do is he wants to embarrass her by having a potion applied to her eyes that'll make her fall in love the first thing she sees. And he's hoping that what she sees will embarrass her for you folks. So that's the next thing that's happening, and then he'll embarrass her so much that he'll be able to take the changeling baby and bring it into a thing. So he tells Puck to go ahead and apply that to the eyes, and then also to the Athenian love couple too. For Demetrius, the one who Hermia loves, but does not love him back. All right. So we then head back to the actors, one of whom is named Bottom, who leaves the group after feeling a little weird and so forth. He sort of leaves them. He's not the nicest guy in the world. Puck finds him and gives him an ass's head for himself, a donkey's head, and then Titania sees him after waking up with his beautiful music, and she falls in love with him. Oberon takes the changeling baby while she's engaged in love, and Oberon has Puck reapply the love potion to his face in order to resolve the various issues that were happening with the love after he misapplies them. Then they act out the play in Act 5 for folks, and the play within the play is not well received by everybody. So Oberon and Puck arrive on the scene, who's also called Robin, a good bro. They arrive on the scene, and they get everybody to change it back and make it believe it's a dream. I think that's a meta commentary, because then you could think that this is a dream too, not an act that's actually happening on the stage too. So I feel like it's a meta commentary. This is clearly a comedy, but I just didn't somehow laugh that much. I laughed more and smiled more at the Tempest dark humor that I just knocked out a couple days ago before reading this than I did this. Now, your mileage may be fair, and it might be better if it's actually acted. I don't know where to see it, because it's a play after all. So I'm only giving this an 8 out of 10 for those reasons, because the comedy should make you smile. Obviously, comedy's going to be a your mileage, a very sort of thing too. Now let's turn to the fantasy stuff. The love potion that's put in people's eyes is made of herbs and local stuff like that. It does seem, falling in love with the first thing you see, seems very similar to things you might actually see or hear about in real life or in stuff regularly from that. So that seems a big influence. In Lord of the Rings, there's a character named Robin Good Smallborough rather than Goodfellow. When I read his name, I immediately thought of him. He's a sheriff in the Shire. He's actually in the Lord of the Rings movies too. Just heads up, and he's also in the Scouring of the Shire too, in the sections that was removed from the movies too. He's a sheriff in the Shire, Robin Smallborough. And that's the guy I thought of when I saw Robin Goodfellow. Anyway, you're not maybe very, I thought it was a cool reference. In real life legends, you could tame a puka, which Puck is named after, or a Goodfellow. They were tameable, and then you could train them to do house chores and such. So those are actually from legends that are definitely an influence, that are on Shakespeare, character Puck and Robin Goodfellow. So that's kind of cool. There's a heavy influence on this in Magic the Gathering. The character of Titania specifically is named a lot of times like the Priest of Titania card. She's actually a character in the game too, where she's a protector of elves and woods and forests, and has that sort of a role. Now elves are actually called here too instead of sprites sometimes, and they seem like they're being used interchangeably, so that's cool too. And then finally there is a 4-set in the Magic the Gathering in the British Isles, a 4-set of Magic the Gathering cards called Lorwyn and Shadow Moor. They're clearly very influenced by this and other similar things like Pucka's the Cemetery Pucka and Pucka's Mischief, and then also Changelings, and there's a Changeling baby too called Crib Swap, so they're definitely heavily influenced by that too. So that's sort of the end of the magic influence. So once again, I didn't like the comedy aspects of this, and I felt that the play was too much. It was just way too much of a thing. I thought that the couple arguing and the spat, and for like an entire scene of just them talking back and forth and complaining about each other, I felt that went on way too long. So although it is a nice well written, and I wanted more from the fairies, right? From Puck and Robin, or Oberon from Titania. I wanted more from them. So I felt that this was just not. I felt that the time wasn't well spent. So I'm only giving this an 8 out of 10 for that reason. For your folks, put your mouth to me here, and you might find this hilarious when you read it, or when you see it acted. Again, to that caveat. So, have you read it? If so, what did you think about it? Let's talk about it in the comments below, whatever your thoughts are. If you enjoyed this video, why not hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon if you're feeling frisky, and the let your friends know too. As a reminder, this channel's name, The Worst Thing About New Books. That's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Shakespeare, who said the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? This is definitely an older one. It's a lot of fun. And then finally, I just want to thank you so much just for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video, right? Because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives. And we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spend this time with me, that's incredibly humbling. And I appreciate it. Thanks again, and have an amazing day.